Good evening, everyone. Welcome to installment number 8 of the Student Mission Program at Boston College's virtual panels. We've done a virtual panel on a few different subjects already in the month of April. We've got a bunch more to come in the month of April. They're all on different subjects. We thought we'd break it up that way, maybe to reach certain constituencies, certain groups, and address really specific questions. This one, if you're on the East Coast, is late. It's late for a father like me, 10 p.m. Eastern time, but it's 7 p.m. Pacific time. And that's who we're talking to today. This is called BC and the West Coast. For the bold students that travel across the country, really seeking out adventure, really seeking out something different from home, and talking about the choice to come to Boston College, the transition to the weather, transition to the expectations, the city, and navigating life far away from home when you go to college. I didn't do that. You'll hear tonight, my Boston accent is very thick. I didn't travel too far away. The panelists that you see on the screen before you are those students that did travel from far away to join us. And we're really excited to have a panel of 3 students talking about life as a West Coast original student being at Boston College. So what I'm gonna have you do to start is just introduce yourself, guys. An introduction will be who you are, where you're from, where you went to high school, what year you are, and what you study. And if we can go in alphabetical order of your first name, that'd be great. 1, 2, 3. And then I have a few questions that I have already for you that will get us discussion started. And I also open up the Q&A section of our chat of the webinar. So if you do have more questions that you want to ask specifically of the student panel, the floor will be open to you guys. So why don't you guys do your introductions? If we follow my directions, Emily, you're first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm from Seattle. I went to Holy Names Academy, if you're from there. I'm majoring in communications in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, and I also have a minor in marketing in the Carroll School of Management. What else?
And you're what class?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior.
Yes.
You're a senior, right. Okay, Henry.
Hey everyone, I'm Henry Hawley. I'm a senior here at BC, originally from Los Angeles, California. I went to Loyola High School in LA, and I'm studying philosophy and art history in our Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences.
Jillian.
Hi everyone, my name is Jillian Sherwood. I'm currently a sophomore studying economics and business analytics in the Carroll School with a minor in theology in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences. I'm originally from San Jose, California, and I went to Archbishop Mitty High School.
Excellent. Well done. Well done. So let's start from the beginning. Your search for college. What brought you across the country? Did you look at all kinds of schools on the East Coast? Were we the only outlier? If a couple of you can talk about your search and how you chose Boston College.
Well, I pretty much looked all over the country. I applied to a lot of schools in California, which is pretty typical of people in Seattle. A lot of people go to California. And then I had a few on the East Coast, not many. It was only about 2 or 3, including BC. And then I just kind of like waited to see where I got in, to see what I was actually really considering. And I was between BC and one school in California, so a little bit closer to home and then very far away. And kind of how I made my choice was I did a visit day at both, which I'm so sorry you guys aren't able to do that, but these things help. And kind of how I made the choice was, it was just which one I felt more comfortable at. And just BC, the way the curriculum was, the way the people, everyone was, it just seemed like something I'd fit in really nicely there. And so to me, that was worth being pretty far from home. And I'm happy I made the choice every day since.
And Emily, did a lot of kids from your school choose to go far away? Were you, again, the outlier that went far away, or was it a mix?
I was the outlier mostly, I would say. I had a few. I think the furthest one went to Notre Dame, which is kind of in the middle, I guess. Most of my friends went either pretty close by or to California. So that made it a lot scary also, when everyone was kind of, it was easy for them to move their stuff. It was easy for them to get home, and I was kind of the one that wasn't, which was hard at first, definitely.
And we'll talk about that. How about someone else? Someone else about their search and how they ended up at BC.
So my search was primarily two things. One, I wanted to go outside of California. I've only ever lived in LA, and then even within LA, I really haven't moved much. I've basically lived in 1 square mile for my whole life. So I wanted to get somewhere else and try somewhere new and experience a different part of the country. And then Loyola is a Jesuit high school, just like BC. And so I wanted to continue in Jesuit education. So I was looking at Catholic schools in general, mostly Jesuit schools. And that combination led me to Boston College eventually.
Now, I'm sure when you move in, there's all this adrenaline, right? Like you're totally pumped and excited to start college. When does it start to sink in that, oh boy, I'm really far away from home? Is it like the minute that your parents walk out the door? Does it take a week or two for that to set in? Do you remember what it was like first year?
I would say I'm probably the most recent to have my first year occur. So I do remember sitting in my dorm the night after my parents had dropped me off, and later that night, just sitting there thinking like, wow, I don't know anyone here. This is going to be so crazy. Like just all this anxiety and feeling like, wow, I'm so far away from home. But I think that was all the nervousness from that was quickly replaced within the following days, like meeting all the people on my floor. I feel like I was so distracted at that point that I couldn't even be missing home or anything.
How about for the other two of you? Did it take a long time to settle in? Was it pretty instant? Do you remember what it was like?
I think at first there's just like so much adrenaline, like you said, like you're just trying to like meet a bunch of people and they have so many activities and so many things going on. You're not even really thinking about where on earth you are, like on the map. And then I think after like, I would say like a month when it's like you're in your routine, know what you're doing every day, you're not as like overwhelmed by everything. You start to realize that you haven't seen your parents in a while. And like you start seeing your home friends posting pictures on Instagram of like them with their college friends and you realize it's been a long time. And then kind of thinking about the next time you might see them and realizing it's hard to get there and it's far away. I think that's when it gets hardest. But that feeling, eventually you just kind of get used to it and you have such a life at BC that you're not as focused on that anymore. And like the Instagrams of your friends with their friends from college aren't as shocking to see. But I did think probably a month in, when you get into routine, you realize it's a lot different.
Well, it's funny you said that picture of friends at other schools. And, when you don't have Greek life, like Boston College has no Greek life, there's social structures are different and how you make your friends are different. But you see on Instagram all your friends rushing and all your friends doing these things at other schools. It does give you the sense that everyone else is doing something that I'm not doing. But of course, people find friends at BC and people navigate socially. And because you don't have the safety net of being close to home, what were the things that you guys did to get to know people at Boston College?
One thing that jumped out quickly was just living with my floor. I just remember that everyone on my floor was kind of from all over the place. So there were some guys that were local, some guys that were far away like me, some guys from other countries. So we had a good mix of guys that meshed well and we really just hung out all the time. And so that became an immediate friend group for me. And it was nice just to have that crew just to go out with, go visit Boston with, take the bus to class, whatever it was. Coming from Newton, it was nice having that group. And then joining clubs, going to different events on campus, meeting people in your classes. It didn't seem to come as quickly as my friends at other schools that were rushing or had a much more kind of official social scene. It was a little bit more organic, took some time. It was a process, and eventually I kind of got my footing.
For either one of you, would you say the same thing? It takes a little bit of time and it's making choices about clubs. I mean, could you go back through it a little bit?
Yeah, I had actually a very similar experience. Like a lot of my best friends senior year were my friends I met in my freshman year hall. And I think the thing, even though we don't have Greek life, I think everyone's having that same experience of they see their friends rushing and making all these friends immediately. And so everyone kind of has a mentality of, okay, we don't have that, so we have to make a replacement for it. So everyone is so willing and welcoming that it's a lot easier to find a group and to find people that you really genuinely like than you would think it would be. It seems like if you don't have like an organized thing being like, okay, these are your friends, it's really hard, but everyone understands we don't have that and makes up for it, was at least my experience.
Okay, so I can cite for you guys statistics that say that not everybody at Boston College is from the Northeast. California is one of our top states, as is Texas, as is Florida, as is Illinois. This is a school that has more or less 10% of students that are either expats or international students. All those statistics are well and good. What was it like for you guys? Do you, Emily, feel like you're the only random kid from Washington sometimes? Do you guys from California feel like that sometimes? Or have you met people from a lot of different places?
I would say I'd never felt alone being from California. Like, I remember my orientation, I met one of my now best friends who was from like a high school 2 over from me. Like, oh, I know the name of that school. Like, I'm familiar with it, but I don't know them, if that makes sense. So I think that there's a big contingency, especially in the Bay Area and LA of California. I know like so many people, like probably like a disproportionate amount of people from there. And I think it's also really easy. Like, once you say, oh, I'm from California, like people will gravitate towards you because they're like, you're kind of cool, you know?
Wait, what are you trying to say about the people from Massachusetts?
Oh,
Are you
no,
trying
no.
to
Nothing bad, but California's just cool, you know?
I know. Either one of you guys, in terms of like either early on or eventually over the course of 4 years, in terms of who you met, and did you get an appreciation that there were kids from other places, or does every time someone say like with Jillian, oh, you're from California, like, or from Washington, like the record goes off the needle and everyone stops and says, oh, tell me so much more about that.
Yeah, I mean, when I say I'm from Seattle, usually people are shocked. But I also don't think there aren't a ton from Washington, but also I don't think that everyone you meet is from close by. Like in my friend group, I think we were all over all of the nation. Now, even being separated now, I notice that even more. And so just because it's shocking from Seattle, it's maybe they're from Florida. They just didn't think there was also someone from Seattle. So it's kind of more of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Henry?
And you kind of I look at my roommates and just the group that we've been. So my roommates and I'm from Los Angeles. One of my roommates is from Seattle. Another one is from Boston. One's from down the coast on Duxbury, Massachusetts, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've lived with guys from California, from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Bay Area. So I've met a bunch of different guys from all over the place. Actually, one of my sophomore roommates was from Dublin. So I've gotten the experience of meeting a bunch of different people, and it's in some ways the same statistic as there are people from all 50 states within the school, and 70, 80 countries represented. But it was also cool to see just within my own small net of friends that my closest friends came from all over the place as well, and I just was able to mesh with different people.
Love it. Love it. And now is the time in the webinar where it's a public service announcement. You're going to make this is for any viewer who is going far away from home to college. What should they pack? What shouldn't they pack if they're going across the country to college? Or maybe specifically to Boston. So does anybody have anything that jumps out at them as an essential that they need, that you learned the hard way, or you really paid dividends for you by packing, or something that you brought that was completely ridiculous and unnecessary and took up way too much space in your suitcase, however you got to Boston College? So now is your public service announcement. What can you tell the viewers about what to bring, what not to bring, if you're going that far away or you're coming to Boston?
I would say pick your winter coat very wisely because you'll have it for the next 4 years. My freshman year, there's the first thing I ordered was like an industrial, like North Face thing, but like used to like climb mountains, and then it was ugly and I had it for the rest of the 4 years. So pick that very wisely because you'll wear it constantly. And I wasn't used to that in Seattle.
That's a good piece of advice. How about for the other two of you?
For the kids from Southern California, buy your winter gear in Massachusetts. It is not built to the same quality in LA because our winters are in the 50 degrees, and it will get that'll be a normal kind of fall day, like typical. So you're definitely going to be in much colder scenarios here. It seems obvious, but I remember thinking like, my hoodie should be okay for a little while. I was definitely wrong. The other thing that I learned that was really helpful for me in terms of packing was my family went to Bed Bath & Beyond or some store that was helping out college kids, and they had a program where you could order it at home and then you would actually pick it up at your school in the town where your school is. So you're not picking it up at your home, shipping everything across the country. It was a little bit easier. So do some research at different companies that are offering dorm goods and clothing that maybe you can pick it up at your Boston location.
Great advice. Jillian, you want to add anything to that?
I would say, I guess coming into college, I thought only like weird people used umbrellas. Like in California, I would judge people who used umbrellas. So I would actually say invest in an umbrella. I use it all the time, and I feel like a lot of people do. And also like a hat and mittens. I never used those before, and then like when I came to college, I was dying because I didn't have them. So that's something I would definitely invest in getting, like, just a nice pair of gloves or something that you can use.
All of you are very partial to the cities that you're from. What do you think of Boston? And have you, especially for those of you that have been there for 4 years, like, have you gotten to know it? Have you enjoyed it? Is it not quite what home is? Is it way better what home is? Can you talk about what your relationship with Boston's been so far?
Well, I actually spent a summer there my junior year. So after my junior year, I lived there over the summer. So clearly I liked it if I chose to spend more time there. And I think that's when I got to know it the most, because I lived like 10 minutes off of campus. I lived in my off-campus house that I'd lived in my junior year. So it was just very easy to just stay there. And so it was right by campus. So we took the T basically from BC into Boston. So I got to learn and spent the whole summer there. So I got to learn the layout of the city and like what it was like to actually really live there, which I really enjoyed. And also it's just kind of nice being close to a city too, because probably my favorite thing about campus was that you have this nice campus, this bubble, if you don't want to leave it. But also if you ever need a break or need like something fun to do, you're 20 minutes from like Newbury Street to this beautiful, beautiful shops and everything. So it's kind of nice. You have the best of both worlds. You have a nice bubble, but also an easy way to escape it. And like for friends' birthdays and stuff, we would always go actually into the city for like a nice dinner and things. So it was pretty easy to get to know Boston, and it's a lovely, lovely city to go to college in.
How about you guys?
Yeah, I would say like coming from, I mean, I'm not near San Francisco technically, but that's my city that I would call home. Boston is such a nice city, and I feel so safe whenever I'm there, which like I could definitely speak to, like being a girl, like, you might be worried going to the city, but Boston is so nice. There's so many like resources around there. Like, you can go to the library, you can go to the park. There's like a bunch of free museums. I really enjoy like just going into Boston on a weekend. And I might say, I don't know if I should say this, but I think I like it better than San Francisco.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense to me, but I'm pretty impartial. Henry.
I've loved living in Boston just because there's so many college kids, and there just aren't so many different schools that are there, so you get to meet a bunch of different people over your 4 years. And if you're going out, or if you're just have friends that have friends in Boston, your kind of networks in Boston kind of expand. And for me, coming from LA, one thing that I noticed fairly quickly was, yes, I was living on Newton, and I did have that bus shuttle to get to main campus for classes. But other than that, I wasn't getting in a car and driving everywhere. It was a very easy area of Boston where I didn't have to have a car. Whereas in LA, like even if you're going to the grocery store and it's 2 blocks down, everyone drives. But also everything is 45-minute traffic, and it's such a spread out city that having something that's more compact in Boston, but still has all of the different types of neighborhoods and kind of quaint, quirky little tidbits to it that you get to discover over your 4 years is definitely something that is fun to explore.
Everyone has to get used to the weather if they're not from around here. I mean, we all like to complain about the weather in Boston. That's kind of one of our favorite pastimes. Maybe you picked it up when you came out here to go to school. How would you tell people from your hometown, let's say, to prepare for the weather? Henry, you first.
Weather is always something that's like, oh gosh, what was I thinking? I remember good advice that I got was enjoy kind of the first snowfall, the fall leaves changing colors. Those were all really fun to like experience for the first time, and try to take your moments and appreciate what you can from the moments that you have. I remember I've gone skiing before. I'd seen snow. This wasn't my first time. I'd never lived in snow. So I remember the first time I went to bed, our first snowfall freshman year was overnight. So I went to bed and there was nothing on the ground. And the next morning I woke up and everything was covered in white. And I just thought, this is really different. What is going on right now? So that was a bit of an adjustment, and that was fun for that day. But then I got tired of it after a while when it got very cold, but I realized this is what I signed up for. This is what I wanted. I wanted to change. I wanted to challenge myself coming from somewhere that is just weather averse. And it's been fun in that way. There have been some ups and downs. I've definitely learned my lessons. And so it's been nice to have that process of learning.
Emily, how's it compare to, Washington weather?
Definitely the cold. Just get ready. You're going to be freezing. I think what was most shocking to me, I didn't mind it in the beginning. Actually, I kind of liked it. Like Henry was saying, like my favorite thing was waking up and seeing all like giant mountains of snow everywhere. You just don't have that in Seattle. So I actually didn't mind it. I would just prepare for the snow in like March and April. That's when you kind of start to break down.
Definitely.
You're like, okay, it's not Christmas anymore. Like I need the warm weather. That was the part that was most shocking to me. But other than that, I enjoyed it. Also, people, like you say, the way they talk about the weather in Boston, I was ready for like 2 degrees. Like I wouldn't be able to get into classes. Like it wasn't as bad as they prepared me for. And I always just think it's funny how just like everyone in Boston acts like it's simply not snowing. Like we had literally this past semester had this giant storm and everyone was walking to class like it was nothing. And that was shocking to me also because in Seattle it snows like an inch and the whole city shuts down. But that is not how it is at all in Boston.
That is true. How about you, Jillian? Anything to add to this?
Yeah, I would say it definitely gets a little bit hard later into the year. But I think it's really important to take it in stride that, this is what you're signing up for. And, you only have 4 winters that you have to deal with. Like I literally think of the days. I'm like, okay, I have like this many more days until whatever warm weather. I think, I don't know. I kind of like it. I think it's nice. And I definitely think it's a little bit overstated. Sometimes people like, I thought it was going to be like -13 or something. Like I'm going to freeze walking to class. It's bad, but you can deal with it. You're only outside for like 10 minutes walking to class,
Now, Emily, you mentioned that you were there for last summer.
Yes.
And Henry, I know you worked with me.
Yep.
Would you recommend that? Because you get to know a city just during the school year and you go so far away, spending the summer, you did it, so there's no point in lamenting the choice that you made. But do you think that was like a really cool way to get to know the town and really maybe fill out your college experience by doing a summer in the town that you go to college in?
I could not recommend it more. I mean, no matter where you go to school, I recommend doing that. I particularly liked it at BC because it was kind of like the perfect taste of adult life without having to do it too much before I had to graduate. Because it was like I still got to live in my college house. I had all my college friends with me. I was right on campus. I could still use the gym. I had all of that. But then I was also still going in and doing like a real job and living in the city and learning that side of it. So I got a perfect little taste of adult life while still being able to keep my college life also. So I got a little taste of it. And it's also nice, like I said, it's a chance to learn your way around the city, around Boston. Because like when you go to BC, you'll go into Boston a lot, but you're never like, okay, now I have to get from here to here. And how do I do that? And how do I work the T? And that's what the summer taught me. And also you just have so much more free time. I wasn't in any classes, so I got to experience the city a lot more, which I loved. So I highly, highly recommend it.
You want to add to that, Henry?
The one thing working with you, I remember the advice that one of the admissions counselors gave over the summer. It might have been you with all of your genius.
That's true. There's a lot of
that we come to work at 9, we finish at 5, but then you're free for the rest of the day. And that meant we could go, and the whole group of students that were working there, we could go and explore the city all we'd like. We did have that freedom of not having to worry about classes, not having to think about like the stress that we had and the different tasks that we had to do afterwards. We just had a lot more liberty to just go and relax and really explore the city after work on the days or on the weekends. It was just a really good way to get to know the city better. And just as Emily said, like become more settled in your city. You're not just there temporarily for years. You make it much more of your own.
One thing that sometimes people from different parts of the country say to me when they visit is they're a little bit worried about the network of BC alumni or the power of Boston College after you graduate. And I asked that question in reference, I don't know if it's come up yet for you. Maybe it has in little ways. So you go back to San Jose or you go back to LA or Washington, and people know you're a college student and they say, well, where do you go to school? And they fully expect you to say someplace local. And you say Boston College, which is a place with a decent reputation that many people have heard of. but it's outside of their network. Are people impressed? Do people look at you like saying, why would you do that? There's like a very good school right down the street. Have you got any feedback from people? Have you looked for a job or applied for positions in your home state? And have you seen people react to where you go to school? And has that been a positive reaction?
I think it's my favorite story from like being in Seattle and talking about BC was one time I was walking in my gym, which was literally like 10 minutes from my house, right in like heart of Seattle. And I walked in, I was wearing like a BC shirt, and like this woman came up to me. She was like a mom, and she came up to me and she was like, "Oh, like, did you go to Boston College? Like, I went there." And we were just talking about like where we lived and how much we loved it. And it was just kind of nice. Like, I think it makes the bond stronger because when you see someone that also went there, you're like, oh my God, like we're both so far from it, but we went there anyway. Like, I think it kind of gives you almost a stronger community because when you see someone from there, you have so much to talk about. But I do agree when I tell people I go to Boston College, I kind of love the reaction. It's kind of just shock because you don't get a lot of it.
Jillian, Henry, have you seen any of that?
I mean, I haven't really applied for jobs yet because I'm still a sophomore, so I don't know about necessarily the network, but I have met a bunch of people actually like from my high school network who had gone there, like whatever amount of years ago, which is really interesting to me because I hadn't really like heard of anybody else from my school or anyone I knew going to BC. So I think it's a lot more prevalent. Like once you find one person, you're going to find that all the network because everyone from BC is friends with each other somehow. So you'll find some people, but also I think when you're with the right crowd of people who actually know about good schools, then they'll be like really impressed by BC. I mean, some people only know like, whatever, UCSD or something. So whatever, you can't get everyone, but I think most people respect BC so much. And when you hear it, they're like, wow, you go to BC, you're so smart. I'm like, oh, thank you.
That's what we hope they say. So let me ask you a couple other quick questions. How do you guys handle holidays? Thanksgiving, Easter, obviously the Christmas break, Columbus Day, shorter breaks. You probably it's not practical to go home for all of them. How did you guys work it amongst your family or just travel-wise?
My mother was a little bit pushy my freshman year. She just wanted me to come home for Christmas and for Thanksgiving, and she wanted me to come home when it was plausible for me. So I said I'd do Thanksgiving freshman year, and then I realized after just having 4 days at home with 2 full travel days was a lot. So it was tiring out from there. Throughout the rest of the 4 years, it was mostly just Christmas, and then at the end of the spring semester. I also joined the men's rowing team, and some of the commitments to the rowing team, that took priority over going home. So that was in some way a special scenario for me. But I just knew that after a while, I only would go home if it was a longer period, just because only going home for Columbus Day or for Thanksgiving with such a short time was just not worth it to go the whole distance. And actually back to one of your earlier questions about kind of when do you realize you're not at home? When you have friends that go home for Columbus Day or, just on a random weekend, they can just head back home and you're still at a dorm. Those were moments that slowly came. And that's when I realized like, okay, I'm a far distance away. And I was thankful that I was able to process that freshman year instead of maybe later.
Yeah, I think a great option for those breaks that are a little bit shorter is either you can visit your friends who go to other schools. Like a lot of the times you have kind of overlapping breaks. So like for example, this spring break I went to Fordham to visit my friend. It was like a great opportunity, to see someone you haven't seen. Also, what I've heard some people do is like over Thanksgiving break, I don't go back either. So you can like meet your family maybe like halfway in the middle. Like some people will meet in Illinois, so you both fly, you both make a trip. And that can make it a little bit easier if you still want to see your family, but you don't want to spend, 2 full days traveling.
How about your parents? I'm sure they'd love to, if you live down the street, they'd love to drop in and bring some cookies and take home your laundry and just check in and see how you're doing. That's how parents are. That's how I plan to be when my kids are in college. I can't wait. But how did your parents, if they have had a chance to come visit you, how have they worked it out? Was it over a longer weekend? Was it for Parents Weekend? How did your parents work in, if they could, a trip out to see you?
My parents came mostly for Parents' Weekend, obviously.
And can
And
you
then
explain a little bit like what time of year that is?
yeah, so Parents' Weekend is in mid-September. And there are events the whole time. There's the Pops on the Heights, there's the parents' football game. And so my parents came out for those, which was really nice, especially freshman year when I hadn't seen them in a while and they just wanted to see what my life was like. And so that was pretty much easiest for them because that's on a weekend. So they could fly out on a Friday and leave Sunday. It's a pretty short trip for them, but it worked out with their schedules and everything. And then aside from that, usually it was like just the times if I had a time off from school that was too short for me to go all the way home, they would come. So like you guys were saying for Thanksgiving, freshman year, my parents came out to see me instead. And we went to go visit like some relatives in the area. So just times like that. Also like days maybe like they wouldn't have to work, they could come out, which was easy for them.
Was that the same for you guys, Henry, Jillian?
Yeah, Parents Weekend was one thing freshman year. My dad sometimes has business in Boston, and he tries to at least schedule one trip a semester, or even one just in the full year if one a semester doesn't work out. Over the years, I'm the oldest of my family, so as my younger siblings have gone to college, my parents have had a little bit more free time to come and visit us because it's just fewer people at home that they have to take care of. So even just this past year. There was a time where all three of my siblings and I were in college, and my parents, I think, were gone for something like 5 weeks just from home because they had an opportunity to go and visit us and see all of us. And so they were more frequent my senior year. But freshman year, it was maybe once a semester, grew gradually over the 4 years.
So those of you that don't know, I do a lot with the student admissions program, but I also cover the Midwest for Boston College. So, not as far out as you guys, but people that are making a very serious commitment to coming halfway across the country to Boston College. And sometimes students and parents say to me, well, if I go to Boston, will I come back home? Meaning that will my future leave me in Boston or New York City, somewhere on the East Coast, or will I make all these detours before I go back home? Now, Jillian, I could leave you out of this question or not. Maybe you've already developed an idea, but for older students, granted this strange little interlude in our lives right now, we hope passes at some point, and that does come in your senior year when you probably could have just kept your bags unpacked and stayed right here in Boston if you wished. But do you think that coming to Boston changed what you were going to do after college? Or was the plan always to go back to Seattle or go back to LA? Or over 4 years, did you say, no way am I going back to Seattle. No way am I going back to LA. This whole other side of the country or these other opportunities have opened up for me. Have you thought about that? I'm sure you guys who are seniors were pretty close to making that decision anyway.
Yeah, I mean, when I chose to go to BC, I had no plan for beyond that. The decision of where to go to college was enough. I didn't even think about what that would mean for my future. And then when I got there, I just really fell in love with the East Coast, and so I decided to stay. So I am planning to stay there after graduation. But yeah, I don't even know how to talk about that. But so I am planning to stay, but I wouldn't say that choosing to go to BC made me stay there. I think if I had gone and not liked it, I would have come right home. I think no matter where you go to school, you're going to be shaped by the place that you go, and that will influence where you want to stay after. But it wasn't because I had like more opportunities on the East Coast that I'm choosing to stay. It was just because I really liked it there, and that's where I wanted to stay. So I think you'll find that no matter where you go, if you blend in well there, you're naturally going to want to like see like, okay, maybe this is a place I should start like actually building more of a life.
Henry?
Similar. I had no plans coming into BC. My idea was let's just enjoy these 4 years and see where that takes me from there. I've fallen in love with Boston, so I am applying to jobs in Boston and New York. And it also is similar to, probably similar to Emily. A lot of my friends are going to be either in Boston and New York, and I have enjoyed living with them over the past 4 years. I've just finally hit my stride in Boston, so I want to continue with that. I'm not averse to going back to LA, and that's something that I've had to sometimes talk to my mom, who would love to have me back, but she also recognizes that I have to live my life, and I can always come home. this is my opportunity to go somewhere and do something different. And that's what I wanted to do with college. So always coming home is something that I have that is in my wheelhouse, but it's not something that I'm planning to do immediately.
Now, I'm sure you haven't thought about it this way, but, again, Henry, being full of wisdom, like you accurately said that I was, I sometimes think about this for you guys. Like, how are you better? How has this journey made you a better student, a better roommate, a better community member, a better Catholic? How has making this decision to come across the country made you better? In what element of your life? Like, why is it so valuable that you've done it?
I think for me, the thing I can say is that I've become more confident in myself through going across the country, especially not having the padding of your friend group from high school or, knowing anybody. Like, at least for me, I didn't know anybody at BC. I think that while it was a challenge, to like, whatever, to think like, oh, am I going to reinvent myself? Am I going to stay the same person? I think that discovery process of like, who am I really besides my high school friends? Who am I really, at my deepest has been like the most impactful for me, searching, whatever major I want to do and stuff. And I think also, being in college across the country is just such a different experience. It makes you realize like, hey, I want to prioritize what's really important to me because I'm not coming all the way across the country to do something I don't want to do.
Hmm. Emily?
I would say for me, how I usually like describe what it's like going really far from home for school is that it kind of forces you to like make the school your home because you can't, if things get hard, this is the only place you are. You can't easily go home. So you have to be like your friend there who you would turn to. The activities or things you enjoy doing. It has to be like the place that you love, and you have to put in effort to make it that. You're not just gonna immediately find amazing friends. They're not always just gonna be there for you because you're there. You have to put in the work. So I think going far taught me how to enjoy a place and make it a place I can really like and to give it everything I have because you have to. And so I think I've made so many meaningful friendships because I had to fully all in dedicate my time to that and use that as like what I could turn to, like my family, because you can't get to your family easily if times do get hard. And so I think it just makes me stronger and makes me learn how to really dedicate myself to something because you don't really have a choice. So all of you will experience that too.
And Henry?
Somewhat similar to Emily and Jillian, I just have to fall back on myself instead of always falling back on my parents or having my friends around. I remember the moment that my parents actually drove away and left from moving me in. I like watched the cars go away, and then because we had unpacked the dorm and assembled everything and figured everything out for that day, I was really hungry and I was like, all right, where is the dining hall? Where, like, what now? It was basically okay, what do I do now? And it was, and that was such a small thing. It was easy to find. I just walked up with my roommates and that's where we just went and got food. But then after that, it was always, okay, what do I do now? What do I do now? Who do I go see? What programs do I have to at least go and sit in on for the information session? Like, what do I have to talk to or talk about with my advisor and my professors? Just being able to internalize what I had to do for myself instead of always thinking what I can do and what someone else can do. It all fell on me.
Do you guys think that you took advantage of more things on campus, traditions, football games, basketball games, events, because you had to rely on us a little bit more for support, for entertainment? Again, if you lived in Concord, you could go home and go see your old high school play football. You didn't have that choice. You had to do more things on campus. Do you think you took advantage a little bit more because you were further away? Or am I just making that up?
I think, for me and my friends, I think we took advantage more of it because we were freshmen. And you wanted to meet as many people. Like everyone kind of has the same attitude of any event going on you go to freshman year and you meet as many people as you can and you enjoy everything. Like the perfect example is like freshman year, you have like an RA on your floor who's like someone older and they host a lot of events to help you meet everybody on your floor, which is how I met my friends. But freshman year, you go to all of them and you like eat cookies on the floor of their dorm and like do all these things. And like as you get older, you stop doing and going to those things. So I think it's more of being a freshman. Everyone kind of has the mentality of you need to meet as many people as you can in this first year, at least for me.
My last question will be, the reputation of people on the East Coast, when you're not from the East Coast, it might be we're a little bit more intense and sometimes cold, and we don't go with the flow like people on the West Coast have this reputation of having. How did we treat you upon arrival? Can you dispel any stereotypes of East Coast people? I don't know, like the one who's moderating this discussion. Are we easy to deal with? Is the bark worse than its bite? Have you found us entertaining and charming? How has it been for you?
I think I can say, like, and speak on behalf of every BC student, that all the faculty and everyone at BC has like been the most nice people. Not like I thought I'd be really scared, whatever with the accent and stuff. No, everybody's been so nice. And also another myth I have to dispel is like Boston drivers. Apparently they're really bad. I think that it's way better than in San Francisco, to be fair to Boston drivers.
I like that. Well, I'll take your silence as approval of breaking down those stereotypes of us East Coast people. That's not good enough for me. This has been great and really fun to talk to you guys about what your experience has been. Again, for me, I think you're adventurous and bold and strong, and I'm so glad that you decided to take us up on this journey. I know our community can support you, which is why I travel the Midwest and why my colleagues go to Washington or Northern or Southern California to talk to you guys and to admit the people that are watching, because we know that we have the community to support you, and hopefully you felt that, because that's the way we feel about you guys. So that's going to end our session tonight. This is installment 8 of 19 of these student admission panels throughout the month. Tomorrow we have all freshmen. We're having a freshman panel, and that should be pretty interesting. And on Wednesday, it's Midwest and BC, as well as STEM at Boston College. Thursday, it's a focus on the Lynch School of Education. So we've got an action-packed month. I can tell you that the most normal I've felt in a month is talking to you guys about Boston College. And hopefully you felt the same way. And despite what's going on, you still have a home over here in Chestnut Hill. And with Henry and Emily, we hope to see you back for commencement. You'll have a tour to do when you return, Jill, so make sure you get back. Be there. It's 11, 1, and 3. We're not changing the times of tours. And again, I would say to any of our viewers, reach out to our panelists. They'd be happy to help out. It was great to see you guys. Thank you so much for your time tonight. And stay safe, stay healthy, and hope to see all you guys really soon back at Chestnut Hill. And to all the future class members of the class of 2024, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Good night.